Hey, what's up? We're live with that Pansy with another Path of Exile video, and in today's video we're going to talk about loot filters, why you should get them, where you get them, and what you can do with them. And they are, honestly, they're one of the most useful things in Path of Exile. I think it's the Path of Exile 2 was made to be a game that didn't really need loot filters. Now that's sadly not true. In this early access, I'm just gonna chuck this divine orb on the floor here, and you can see this divine orb. This is one of the best currencies in the game. Probably only Mirror of Calandra is better than it, and it just doesn't really pop. It doesn't really stand out, and a loot filter allows you to make things like this just stand out. So you can go into your options menu and go to the game section, and right at the top is this item filter button here. Now I've got this Life Without Pants' filter here, and you can see now this Divine Orb is very, very obvious as I roll around the map. It's got a little mini-map icon. If I bring my mini-map up, you can see this little red star, and if I pick it up and then put it down, then there should be a little tink as well. And this is what, this is the filter I'm using, and I want to show you exactly how to get filters like this, how to make them, and how to customize them. So we're going to be using a site called FilterBlade.xyz. Going to be a link in the description, so go check that out. This is what it looks like when you get to FilterBlade. So you will arrive here. You need to sign in with Path of Exile. So sign with your Path of Exile account. You can create your filter here on FilterBlade, or you could just take one of the preset ones. There's so many preset ones already that you could just take them, have a look at them, and then just sync it to your Path of Exile profile, and then in the game it'll show up and you can just start using it straight away. Or you could heavily customize it like I've customized mine. I've made quite a few changes, but if you're new to filters, honestly I'd recommend coming here, just signing in, and then there's this one called semi-strict, and this means it's a recommended filter strictness for beginners, league starters, and it shows anything potentially useful and hides a lot of not very good stuff. So I'm going to do that, and I'll just be back in a second.
A few moments later.
All right, I've logged in, and now I'm just going to refresh this window. And here it's auto-loaded for me, my previous filter, but I'm going to go to just the My Filters page, and I'm going to create a new filter. And I'm just going to take the semi-strict one here, just to be able to show you. And it's going to have a little overview for you here. So if you just want to get the semi-strict one and nothing else, you can just click on semi-strict and click export to Path of Exile, put in a name, cool stuff, and then if it's public, then you should put in the description. That's definitely a good description for me. And then click sync or download. Now you can save it locally, and that's pretty useful, or you can sync it to your Path of Exile profile. And I always choose to save and sync. Sometimes on league starts I do like save locally, but we're just going to do the easy version. So we're just going to save and sync it, and down here there'll be a little blue thing pop up saying successfully uploaded filter, and it should arrive instantly. So now if I go into the game, then I can click here and cool stuff has appeared, and so I can click that, and it changes the layout of everything. So this, you know, these currency shards, they're popping out a bit now. These this rare item, these uncut support gems, level 3, breach splinters, they're showing up a bit more now. And if we just go back to none, then you can see that these breach splinters, you know, now when we use our cool stuff filter, they are purple. So you can change the color of the border, the font, the background. You can change the size of them. There's some really cool things you can do with this. So if you just want the base version of semi-strict, this is a really, really good filter for running around, especially, you know, if you're doing breach or something like that. My regular filter that I use is so strong that I don't really see much at all. So it can be really, really customizable. So let's look at a couple of customization options. All right, so now we're going to look at our cool stuff filter, and there are a few sort of basic areas that we can focus on. So we've got general currency, campaign and exotic currencies, so things like essences. Uniques is a whole section on how to represent uniques in the game. Chancing bases, which is if you use an orb of chance, which is one of these things, then it unpredictably either upgrades a normal item to unique rarity or destroys it. So I've got this stellar amulet, and if I were to use this this orb of chance on this stellar amulet, you maybe can't see that because it might be behind my head. If I was to use this orb of chance on this stellar amulet, then it might turn it into an Astramentus, which is probably, I think, the most expensive unique in the game. It's around 250 divines, and it might do that, or it might destroy it. It's going to destroy it, but we'll get to that in a second. So there's a whole section for chancing bases. Then there's runes and soul cores. There's gems and gold as well. So let's just have a quick look. And one thing to know is that you can mess around with this and then undo your changes if you want. There's a really good way to simulate this. So there's a simulate tab, and here you can see this is what my loot filter would look like with all these items around. So these expert hexes robes, these would be highlighted in the loot filter. The essence of battle would also be highlighted as well. But then there's these little things over here that are crossed out. So these are things that are hidden. Now you can change your zone level. So most of the time, as I'm doing tier 15 maps all the time, I'm going to be in zone level 79. And then I can just click generate loot as many times as I want, and it will show me, oh, this is the kind of things that I would be showing to you. And you can also click generate valuable loot as well. So this is, better stuff. So this will show you lots and lots of more. This is for when you're testing like a much more strict filter. So you can just simulate all of the changes that you make here. So we're going to, this armorer's scrap here, we're going to go to the customization section, the general currency, and then there are tiers, just like a tier list, there are tiers of currency. So S tier is things like, divine orbs, mirrors of Calandra, perfect jeweler's orbs, those kind of thing. A tier is greater jeweler's orbs and orbs of chance. And these are completely customizable in all the ways you can think of. So you could just drag this and drop the orb of chance into the S tier. So whenever you drop an orb of chance, it should show up the same way that a divine orb shows up. You can also, and yeah, there's all these tierings. There's chaos orbs, exotic coins, orbs of annulment, exalted orbs, etc., etc. So you can move these around as you want, or you can click here to add a base type. So if I wanted, if I click here, then you see this whole list of stuff. And if I wanted to put Mirror of Calandra into the C tier for whatever reason, then I could just do that and then click add, and it'll pop up a warning saying, are you sure? So let's click yes. And now Mirror of Calandra will show up in the Exalted Orb and Gemcutter's Prism tier in the C tier. So I'm going to undo this by moving this back. There we go. And now it's in the what should be the correct tier. So this is the currency. You can, we'll get into sort of changing fonts and that kind of stuff later, but I just wanted to go over the base areas. There's catalyst, there's breach stuff, there's omens as well. So some of the omens are very, very good, and lots of them are not. There's essences in these exotics and currencies. This is stuff you get from League content largely. Uniques, obviously there's these S tier. I'm imagining Stellaris Amulet is going to be in here somewhere. But these are all the super good uniques that you get. Oh, Stellaris Amulet is not here, so maybe we should change that. So we would put it, we just do Stellaris Amulet, Stellar Amulet, and add this. And it's in high variety top multi-bases. Are you sure you want to move to, I mean, if I find an Astramentus, I want to know about it. So I would put it in the S tier. Then there's, there's tiers of these items, and because the loot filter cannot know what exactly the unique will unidentify as. It can't know exactly which one it is. So there are some that have two bases, one base, but two different uniques come out of that same base. So this could be really, really useful for if you find, a stellar amulet, if you find like an unidentified Astramentus, or if you find, I think Heavy Belt as well has its only headhunter that comes out of Heavy Belts. So those things are really, really useful to be able to highlight and also to turn off. So a really useful thing here is, say if you're tired of seeing all of these, these really annoying heavy belts, because there's just too many headhunters dropping, then you can just click hide. And then this is what it won't, you won't see it anymore in game. So you can click show or hide on any of these little rules, and it should fix it for you. For runes and soul cores, basically only iron runes are very good, and for soul cores it's the ass kappas, and I think there's a couple of other ones that are slightly useful, like the Zalatal. I think that's the mana one, and I'm not going to attempt to pronounce that word. So there's sections for soul cores and runes, and then gems also. Obviously, the level 20 gems are going to be popping really, really hard, so they're going to look like this. This is a classic Path of Exile 1 dopamine rush simulator where you have a white background and red text. So any level 20 skill gem is going to appear here. And you can also say, oh, I don't want any, if you go into the level 19 ones, and you can say, I don't want any level 19 skill gems. I see them all the time, all my skills are level 19, but I definitely want the spirit ones. So you can make sure that you customize them the way you want here. And then gold, this is also something that I've heavily customized as well. Basically, I only see the gigantic piles now because gold doesn't really have a use to me. I don't really see a use to it much. It's just gambling, and the gambling does not seem good. It just seems like gambling, and like losing gambling as well. So I think I have 36 million gold, and I haven't really found a use for it. I tried to do some stuff with the auction house, but it was just, it was not fun. So here's the basic section. You can also just I've made some changes here. I'm just going to click reset, and it'll put it back to what the loot filter thinks is the appropriate sort of level. So I can reset my tierings if I want to. Then there's this endgame rares and crafting section. This is just if you want to engage in the gambling, so the crafting aspect, then you can do it here. Maybe you want to highlight lots of breach rings of high levels because maybe you want to try and get lots of attribute on them. There's stuff for flasks, charms, waystones, that kind of thing. Waystones are particularly useful because you can just go to the normal waystones and say, look, I'm tired of seeing tier 1 waystones. I'm in level 70 maps, so I don't want to see tier 1 waystones, tier 2 either. You can just click this and then it'll hide them just generically. You could also open it up and click hide if you wanted to, but it's up to you. So this is really, really useful. It also shows you what they're going to be represented like in the game as well. And then there's tablets and map-like items. So, if you, for some reason, manage to drop a simulacrum, I'm not sure how you do that, or like logbooks, that kind of thing. Logbooks are really, really useful to highlight as well. Endgame salvageable items. So this is really good if you are struggling with getting enough blacksmith whetstones or armor scraps or the glass blowers, that kind of stuff. You can hide all of the stuff that gives you just one into one armorer or one etcher, and you can only have the things that give you two. So 2 whetstones, 2 etchers, 2 armor smiths, and 2 glass bows. So it's a really, really useful way to make those. I'm going to reset that. And then there's a miscellaneous section as well. So you can create your own rules here. And this is something super interesting because I have been doing a lot of sort of high-end maps, and I found out that some types of wands are worth a lot of money, but only the normal bases, only white base on these wands. So what I did is I came into the add additional show hide rules, and I wanted to make a base type rule. So I'm going to just click this. I'm going to click add a rule. Oh no, I don't need to do that. I can just delete this with the delete button. Yeah. And I go into this one, and I'm going to add in, I think it's attuned wand. So I add that as a base type, and now it is highlighted in the game, and some other kind of wand. Let's just say it's an attuned wand. And the item level of this has to be level 81 or higher. So I'm going to say at least 81. and it has to be only normal rarity, so not magic ones, not white ones. So I'm going to add an attribute, and then here are all the attributes you can select. So the stack size, or how many sockets the thing has, and I'm going to go for rarity, and then I'm going to click magic and rare off. So now this will highlight attuned ones with 81 item level or above, and only normal rarity. And these go for like 20 exalts on a trading Discord, especially if you have a lot of them. So this is a really, really useful way that I found to just make some extra money whilst I'm going around. I don't pick up that much stuff in Path of Exile. I pick up things that cost around 1 exalt plus. I don't pick up any rare items and identify them. I want to go fast. And so this is a really, really useful thing to be able to add. I think there's another type of wand as well. Let's go back to my hideout and we'll find out which kind of wand it is. So having this this item filter means that I've got this bases section here, bulk bases. So it's attuned wands. I just put that one over there. And it's siphoning wands. So if we go back into the game, then you'll be able to see here, this is actually, we're using my regular loot filter now. So when I put these on the floor, you can see they show up. So whenever I kill some monsters and these things show up, then this is like 15 to 20 exalts for each one of these. And there's not a really good way to represent this, or to be able to, look on the ground. If I was trying to find these with no loot filter, then this is, where are they? This is what they would look like. I can only see one of them now, actually, and I just put them down. So there's no way you could figure this out without a loot filter. But with a loot filter, you can just do this, and you see, oh, they're right here. My loot filter as well, it's got some other things on it. So Stellar Amulet, I wanted to make sure this one really popped, because this is worth half a divine at least, just for this. So it looks like a divine orb in mine. A chance orb looks pretty good as well. And you can also see I've got this minimap icon as well, and there's a beam of light coming to it. So there's lots of ways to really make things pop, and that's what I've been doing with this. This is just like a regular unique that I found from a boss fight, and also a logbook. It looks pretty good too. So you can see, and there's we've got different options when it comes to the minimap icons. So let's talk now a little bit how to customize stuff. Okay, so we went over how to add a new base type rule. I want to talk just a little bit about customizing the appearance of stuff. So for the B and the C tier, say we wanted both B and C tier to look exactly the same. There's a really, really useful way to do this. There's a copy button and there's a paste button. So you can just copy this one and paste it here, and now the orbs of annulment and exalted orbs will look exactly the same in game. You could also do the same here, so copy this one and paste it here. So now everything looks like it's going to be really, really, really valuable. Obviously there's a reset button as well for these things that have defaults, like the currency section. So that's a really, really useful way to figure that out. And this includes a few things. So there's the text color, and you can see here TX. You can click this and then it'll bring up this color selector, and you can choose whatever kind of color you want. So if you want divine orbs to look like this, the text color to be this color, this black color, then you can do that. And the border here, then we can just go and say, oh, I want the border to be blue, or maybe, I don't know, like a nice pink, hot pink. It's pretty nice. And then the background to be some other color as well. So let's go like a green. Yeah, oh, that looks horrible. Yeah, exactly. So we want our divine orbs to look like this for some reason, and this is what we can select. And then for these three options here, we have sound, we have minimap icons, and we have the beam of light. So the beam of light you can choose to be, it opens this, and you can set, is the beam of light going to be red? Is it going to be yellow? Is it going to be gray? You can also just unclick active or click active, and it will then remove it. Then the minimap icon, you can select a medium or small, how big you want it to be, this thing. So if you just do a small one, then it's going to look a lot smaller on the map, on the minimap. We can change the color to orange, and it'll reflect that, or green, so it looks kind of the same as the background color. That's probably a bad idea. And then the shape as well, and there's a few different shapes. So maybe you want it to be a square, maybe you want it to be a circle, maybe you want it to who knows what. And then there's also sound as well. And the sound, I'm going to bring the volume down a little bit because I think this is going to probably make a lot of noise. But so yeah, so that's the sound that it makes, and you can select normal position, or you can select a bunch of different things for this. But there's also different presets as well, and you can also, if you're hyper customizing your loop filters, create your own sounds. I recorded a bunch for myself, and store them locally, and then you can have whatever kind of sound you want. So if you want Arnie going every time like a divinal drops, then you can do that. You have the technology. So this is like a couple, I'm just going to reset this because it looks horrible, but this is a couple of ways to just quickly customize these little bits. Let's talk about the Simulate tab now. This is one of the most useful tabs in this whole thing. So you can, if you go to the Customize section, you can start off by, or the overview rather, you can select your strictness here. And soft is basically, it hides almost nothing. It hides almost nothing. It's probably like at the very, very end game, it's going to be hiding Scrolls of Wisdom and nothing else. But then, regular semi-strict. Semi-strict is a really good beginner filter. And once you get to the end game and you don't want to see so many blue bases or yellow bases, you maybe don't care, you just want to pick up currency, then you can start moving into the very strict or uber strict versions. And then when you go to the simulate section here, so if we have soft on and we go to simulate, you see it shows everything. But then if you come over to the uber plus strict and we go to simulate, it's only showing this one thing. And we can generate loot, and sometimes it doesn't show anything. All of these things are hidden. It shows an exalted orb in the uber strict plus. So I think this is pretty much what I'm using at the moment. But then when you come over to here, the simulator, you can generate lots of really valuable loot. But and you can up and down this zone level. Really, really useful way to just test if something you want to see is visible. So you can do this and it gives you an idea. This is like an idea of what it's like. But then you can also import items from Path of Exile. And this is super useful. So you go into the game. Say, I was wandering around, I did this boss fight and I pressed Alt and I was like, oh, there's a Torment Club on the floor here. I'm going to identify it. I want this to show up in my loot filter. I mean, currently it does. So maybe this is a bad example. Let's see a single breach splinter. So a single breach splinter in my loot filter doesn't show up. But if I found it and I was like, oh man, a single breach splinter, I really, really want that to show up. I could just hover my mouse over it, maybe put it up here, and then do Control-C in the game. And then I go over here and into this import items from PoE thing, make sure my zone level is the zone level I'm going to be playing at, so 79, and just do Control-V. And it will say, oh, I'm showing you this. This is what it looks like in the game. And you can also just click this, or find in Customizer rather, and it will show you this is where this rule is kept. And this is how you can modify it. So you're like, oh, I don't want to see breach splinters, hide. And now when you go to simulate, you see here it's hidden. So when you go to the simulator, any breach splinters that show up here will now be hidden. So this is a really, really useful way to, let's take this attuned one, for example. We can go in here and we can paste it in, and it shows up, and this is finding Customizer, and here's the rule that we made earlier on. And so this is going to show up when we're walking around, and it's so useful. There's also an item builder. So if you don't have the item that you think you want to highlight, you can just build it. So let's say we wanted rare boots, rare intelligence boots. So we go to the item builder, and then we select a category. And we're going to say, oh, boots are armor. So we're going to click armor. We're going to select boots. And then we can select any of these things. Let's say braced sabatons. And then the rarity, we only want rare ones. And then we can click show. And it has them here. So this is what it's going to look like. Or we could just take these off if we want. If we don't want them to be, if they're mirrored, then we probably don't want to see them because we can't really modify them. If it's implicit modifier, then that's probably fine. Corrupted, maybe not, because then we can't do anything with them other than wear them. And identified or hasn't any enchantment. These are things you don't really need to worry about. But this allows you to create an item this way And then this is actually in an inactive rule. So maybe if we created something different, so let's say let's say we wanted to make a rule for white bows. So let's see, caster and ranged weapons, and then we go to bows and we select base type, let's say cultist bows, and we want to be only normal bows, item level 79 and an area level of 79 plus. And you can see here, view inactive rules, it's currently hidden on our filter. So we could view the inactive rules, here we go, it's in these two places. And then this is the rule here, and then we can disable this, or we can just click this and then not hide it, I think, or disable it. So we go into the item builder and then just show it like this. And now these will show up. And also you could just slide this and then make it more obvious that it's there. So you can just, this is the size of the thing. For the background, we could put some, we could choose like a nice, we could put some text on it. So the text color itself, we could choose red. And then for this, we could, for the border, we can have yellow, and we can say, oh, I really want a nice blue background. So now all the white cultist bows, item level 79, will show up, and they'll show up like this. And then we can go into, there's some advanced stuff. You don't really need to worry about this too much. Honestly, this is more than enough to get you started with loop filters. So at this point, you just click export to POE, save and sync, and then you can go, oh, and you see the little blue thing down here. And sometimes there is a rate limit on this, so you can only upload one filter about every 10 minutes, or you can only upload the changes every 10 minutes. So if you make 4 changes 1 minute after the other, you'll get the first one the first time you refresh in game, but then when you refresh 10 minutes later, you'll get all of them at once. So if we now go into here, then we've got our cool stuff filter, and this has got, beautiful, look at that. That's a thing of beauty. So all these bows have turned up. That's really, really great. Anyway, this is just like, I just wanted to make a short video about this. I don't know, it's probably gone on for like half an hour already, but I just wanted to make a quick primer on loop filters. I get these questions all the time on stream. If you want to come and check us out, we're live every day on twitch.tv/lifewithoutpants. Really happy to answer any questions you have about loop filters or PoE 2 or PoE 1 in general. But with that, I think that's it for me. I hope you found this useful. I hope you're kind to everyone you meet. I love you all very much, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.